Money grows, peace can grow. Money stack grow, only money grows.
What's up, YouTube fam? It's your man King Marcel, and we back with another video. The world is getting pretty crazy, ain't it? It's getting wild. These gas prices are getting crazier and crazier. I seen on the West Coast that they stuff is all the way up to damn near $10 a gallon. And I wanted to be wrong about all of this stuff, you know what I'm saying? I wanted to be totally wrong. I was hoping, you know what I'm saying? You prepare for the worst, but pray for the best. And I was hoping that a lot of this stuff wouldn't happen, but it's looking like it's set in concrete that the things that I've been warning you about when it comes to the famine, the gas prices, just our current state of living and the sense of normalcy that we've been living with is most likely behind us. And if you guys are still, you know what I'm saying, hoping that things get better, I say that you put that hope into preparing. I genuinely mean that. I hope you guys prepare, and you know what I'm saying, you make a plan with your families. It's getting rough, so stock up on food, buy you some silver and gold if you can, and you know what I'm saying, stay tucked out the waist. Try to save as much money as possible. I got a lot more TikToks that I think you all need to see that's going to help hopefully break the spell that we've been under. You know what I'm saying? Things haven't been normal to me since 2020, since the 19. You say what it actually is, you know what I'm saying? They come for your channel, but ever since 19 happened, it hasn't been normal to me. I feel like people been trying to force a sense of normalcy, but I don't think that's even going to be able to be done moving forward. But we about to get right into these TikTok videos. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, hit that subscribe button, that like button, that notification bell, so that you're notified whenever I do drop a video here. We're on the road to 500 subscribers, so make sure you guys are subbing up and joining the kingdom. But with that being said, let's get into this.
We're talking about now, right? Artemis 2, and it's a 10-day flight around the moon. And they won't land on the moon, right? That will come later. I think it's for 2028. But they're basically going to swing around the far side of the moon. They're going to lose contact with Earth entirely and supposedly travel farther away from this planet than any human has ever gone before, according to NASA, if you believe that official story. Now, if you believe the official stories of the moon landings, you have, I think it's July 20th, 1969, Apollo 11. 2 men land on the moon. One of them is Buzz Aldrin. And history itself sees Buzz Aldrin as like the second person ever to walk on the lunar surface. But here's the thing about Buzz Aldrin. Most people don't realize what he brought with him. This is a fact. It's a fact that he brought this item with him. Even if you don't believe the moon landings, this is still part of the history. So Buzz Aldrin was a 33rd degree Freemason. He carried a special document from the Grand Master, a document that granted him authority to claim Masonic territorial jurisdiction of the moon. Seriously, he carried a handmade silk flag that was embroidered with the words Supreme Council 33, Southern Jurisdiction, USA. He brought that to the moon. He was claiming the moon for Freemasonry, for the god of the Freemasons.
I did not know that.
Okay, after the eagle landed, he stepped outside and Aldrin performed a ritual. And guys, NASA kept it quiet for decades.
What?
The Grand Lodge, however, the Grand Lodge of Texas, it later chartered the Tranquility Lodge number 2000, a Masonic lodge with jurisdiction on the moon. And the overall manager of the Apollo program, the man responsible for every single mission from Mercury through Apollo, well, yeah, that man's a Freemason. Not only is he a Freemason, he's a 33rd degree Freemason. So here you have 2 33rd degree Freemasons who are intimately involved in the moon landing, and they claimed it for the god of the Freemasons. There was a ritual. And guys, this is all documented. It's documented by the Freemasons themselves and their own publications. They admit it, and they don't try to hide it. They're actually proud of it, and I think it deserves to be taken seriously. Like I said, whether or not you believe the moon landing actually happened, the fact that they're claiming that they brought this 33rd degree Mason and did this ritual, this Masonic ritual on the moon, tells you everything you need to know about it.
I mean,
and guys, you have to understand that most NASA employees, they're engineers, they're physicists, they're not mystics, they're not psychics, they're not Satanists. But the ones in charge, well, apparently they were at one point, and according to some, they still are today. So I looked, and I looked hard. And I didn't find any evidence. There was no documents, there was no whistleblower, there was no smoking gun. But that doesn't mean that the story goes cold, because here's what I did find. The names track. The The names, they more than track. They track through the mythological relationships with precision that's really hard to explain by like just random happenstance, all right? There's a specific word in the ancient record that really proves everything. It was a title given to this specific goddess by her own priests, documented in ancient texts that have been sitting in libraries for more than, 2,000 years? Nobody at NASA has ever addressed this. Nobody at NASA has ever explained this coincidence, right? And this coincidence is a word that when you translate it, it changes this investigation from dealing with pagan goddesses to dealing with Satan himself, with Lucifer, with a whole Luciferian doctrine. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. So let's start with what most people think they know, right? You have Artemis, the goddess of the moon. It's Apollo's twin sister. There's a silver bow, there's a deer at her side. That's the version that you'll get from a 2-minute Wikipedia search. And it's not wrong, really. It's just not finished. That's not the whole story. Because in order to understand the whole story of who Artemis really is, you have to go back farther and you have to look at the bigger picture. Because this surface level Artemis isn't the full picture of who Artemis is. In the ancient world, Artemis was 1/3 of a triad. Think about that. A triad. It was 3 goddesses who were worshipped together. And these 3 goddesses are identified as 3 faces, 3 different faces behind the same power. It's basically a perversion of the Trinity. It's a perversion of God, Christ, and the Holy Spirit. But these 3 goddesses are considered to be one. So you have Artemis, who is the maiden, Earth, the hunt, virginity. And then you have Selene, the mother, heaven, the moon itself. And then here's the one that makes a lot more sense. Here's the one that brings it all together. The third one is Hecate.
Hecate, Queen of Darkness, revenge yourself against the Thessalians.
The goddess Hecate has spoken. Hecate, Queen of Darkness, you've always helped me.
Artemis, Selene, Hecate. Who's Hecate? Hecate's the crone, the underworld, the crossroads itself. Hecate, historically, throughout the entire history of our civilization, was known as the goddess of witchcraft, sorcery, necromancy, communication with the dead. And a 5th century BCE, there was a sculptor from Athens who carved the very first known triple-formed Hecate statue. 3 women back to back, looking in 3 different directions at one time. That image stuck. And the Romans, well, guess what? They worshipped all 3, Diana, Luna, and Trivia. And they combined all 3 of these into one singular entity. And guess what? Modern witchcraft, modern Wicca, they worship this exact triad, this exact triple goddess. This is the central framework to the religion of witchcraft. You have the maiden, the mother, and the crone, all right? And this is the exact symbolism that is on our Artemis 2 mission. And here's the thing, guys. When you invoke one face, the ancient world understood that you're invoking all 3 of them. The 3rd face is the queen of the witches. Exactly. And if you're still here after that, you're going to be ready for
when
what
these folks get to talking about the queen of heaven. And I've been seeing a lot of that online lately, and everybody making it seem like the queen of heaven is something good. No, it's this demonic entity. I simplify it for folks by telling you all, it's the Archangel Gabriel. The Archangel Gabriel has tricked mankind. The Archangel Gabriel is Satan, is Lucifer, is the false light. And it's this divine feminism. And this ain't saying that women are inherently bad. That's not what we're saying, because that's how people try to misinterpret it. That is not what's being said. But this entity, this divine feminism, is the entity that created the material world. Why is it the queen of darkness? It created what we call the ether. And the ether is the foundation of all of creation in the physical realm. Not both the physical and spiritual realm. These are 2 separate realms. But it gets misinterpreted. It gets blurred through the fact that it splits itself so that it can hide. It can present itself as a good light in other ways. But in all essence, it goes against the Most High God, the true light, the spirit. Gabrielle can't deal with the fact that its creation was meant just to be our living ground. It was created to be a test ground for man. And I'm not just saying man, I mean man and women. It was supposed to be a testing ground for us. But this deity can't stand that. It feels like Mother Earth trumps man. But it was created for man. And this goes back to Eve eating the apple when she talked to the serpent. Gabrielle was the serpent that she talked to. Or whichever religion you believe in, this all of religions are saying the exact same thing. It's just some of them are speaking from the perspective of Gabrielle. In Islam, Jabril, the one who was their main angel that brought Muhammad his revelations. It was Gabrielle. You can literally see the translation. You can look this up on Google. Don't just believe anything that I'm saying. You should do your own research. But Jabril is Gabrielle. Trying to take away the power from the holy seed, who were the true Israelites, and give it to other nations to cause confusion and destruction on this earth, to get man to kill themselves off so that Mother Nature can rule. Because when people get to talking about this divine feminism, divine feminine, they make it seem like it likes man. And I don't mean just men and women. It hates the creation of man, both men and women, and thinks that only nature should be here. But again, this place was made for us. If it wasn't for man tilling the land properly, things would be chaotic. And this is what this deity wants. Because when you get to finding out the study of the ether, it comes from chaos. And ether is just another form of melanin. But that melanin, like I have in my body, like most people, everyone has melanin. Melanin encapsulate the light in people. It's the spirit. And I like to use the example of, think of a coal. And over time, when the coal has enough pressure, it creates what? A diamond. And that's what the purpose of all of this is. But it's been so misconstrued. Man, I really hope you guys are grasping what I'm saying.
Comes next,
I
because
really do.
Artemis carried torches. In the ancient world, this wasn't decorative, this was liturgical, all right? The symbolism of Artemis carrying a torch really brings this whole thing home, and it solidifies just how creepy this whole Artemis 2 mission really is. So, let's go. There's a thing called the Orphic hymns. They're basically ancient Greek ritual prayers. Some of the oldest texts that survive call Artemis the torchbearer. There's this ancient Greek 2nd century historian named Pausanias, and he recorded her Roman title. You're never going to believe what it is. Diana Luciferia.
Exactly.
Wait, what? Could it be Lucifer?
Lucifer is an angel, a fallen angel.
Artemis the light bearer. Her official name was Phosphoros, the name her actual priest used in rituals. It's documented by multiple sources, independent of each other. This is a piece of linguistics that really does change everything about this investigation, and it changes everything about the Artemis moon
right
mission
on the
itself.
head with it.
So here's the thing that brings this whole thing together. The Greek word for Phosphoros, remember, Phosphoros is her Roman name. A Latin word for Phosphoros means Lucifer, the light bringer. Guys, this is the exact same thing. The light bringer, Lucifer, Phosphoros, Hecate, Artemis, it's all the same name. This is not interpretation, guys. It's translation.
Yes.
And it's been confirmed through ancient texts, all right? The star called Venus in Greek is Phosphoros. In Latin, it's called Lucifer. Artemis was called Phosphoros. Phosphoros is Lucifer.
Yes.
It's not metaphorically, okay? It's linguistically. This is the
Thank
same
you.
word, just said a different way.
In different
And
languages.
NASA in 2019, their own press release described this goddess that they named the program after.
This
They
is
called
why
her
in
the torchbringer.
Freemasonry. This is why in Freemasonry they say, "Oh, you could any religion is allowed in Freemasonry. You just have to believe in a very specific deity." And throughout moving up in certain degrees, that mystery of who that deity is revealed. That's why a lot of people say the G in Freemasonry stands for geometry. It says that it stands for a bunch of different things. But through my research and the conclusion that I've come to, and you all can do your own research. You know what I'm saying? This is what the conclusion that I've come to is that the G in Freemasonry stands for Gabriel. The Archangel Gabriel is Lucifer. It is their God. And they will follow that false light of that God that brings forth certain messages that it misinterprets to man on purpose from the Lord to see if we will follow it instead of asking the Lord for confirmation for what this deity is saying. And man, this is so deep. And that's why it's hidden knowledge,
Literally,
because a
they
lot of
said
people
it.
won't
They
understand.
use the exact title, the Torchbringer, the Lightbringer, Lucifer.
Dude, this is crazy. Can't be a coincidence, right?
Now let me show you what they named the spacecraft, because in every single version of the surviving ancient Greek myths, Artemis killed Orion. Different versions, different reasons, same ending. She killed him, and she placed his body among the stars. Okay? Does this symbolism, does it make sense what I'm getting at here? Because Artemis killed Orion and placed the body among the stars. Now, I'm not saying that something's going to happen. What I'm saying is the symbolism here is unmistakable, and you can't argue it. It's either coincidence or it's not. I think this whole thing lines up way too specifically to be coincidence. What do you think? And remember, NASA named the crew spacecraft inside the Artemis program Orion. The humans ride inside of the body of the hunter that was killed by the goddess Artemis, carried to the heavens by a program bearing her exact name. And also in Egyptian cosmology, the constellation Orion wasn't just a hunter. It was the Lord of the Dead, the god of the afterlife and resurrection. The Egyptians believed that the souls of the pharaohs traveled to Orion's belt to unite with Osiris in eternity. And some researchers argue that the Great Pyramids of Giza themselves align with those specific stars. So guys, bottom line here, I've looked at the ancient Greek sources. I've read the scholarly analysis of this. I've looked at what the ancient Christians carved into the temple of Artemis in ancient Ephesus. And the most complete explanation that I can come up with why every single name in this program, this Artemis program, points to the same exact place that are sitting in these ancient manuscripts that were written thousands of years before NASA even existed. I think that the ancient texts, they describe exactly what we're seeing. It's a spiritual architecture that's behind the names of these programs. And these are the same entities that the nations worship. And the name of the program itself, Artemis, well, like I said before, it's Phosphoros. That's what the ancient Romans called Lucifer. So this is Luciferian in its very nature. And linguistically, there's no denying that fact, right? So I'm just looking at the names of these gods and these goddesses, and I'm trying to piece together what's going on here. And, you know, I mean, maybe it's all a big coincidence, you know, I'm not sure. All I know is that there is no mistaking the linguistic accuracy of like these specific names that have been named and that are being used. So bottom line, guys, is who knows? Who knows what's going on? What do you think? Put it in the comments below. If you got something out of this video, please share it, hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe. And I want to thank you guys for watching this video.
He was really on point with that.
My life is in danger. Found dead at 34. Becomes 11th mysterious case. Amy Eskridge did not work for the government. She worked for her own company.
The day after she, herself, her institute is shut down and the web page is taken off the internet. Exotic Sciences Institute, also known as...
Okay, the Gravity Research Institute?
Yep.
She was working on anti-gravity.
This was during a podcast. If you stick your neck out in public, at least someone notices if your head gets chopped off. If you stick your neck out in private, they will bury you, they will burn down your house while you're sleeping in your bed, and it won't even make the news. That's why the Institute exists. With Amy, what was interesting was there was no police report of her self-inflicted gunshot, no autopsy, and rapid cremation was ordered. I just wanted to make note that she is dealing with NASA a lot in what she's doing. They even did pull back in 2020. She was going to be planning to present novel foundational work regarding anti-gravity, but she needed approval from NASA.
It gets to things that defy gravity, and you wonder where the technology comes from and if it was emanated from things that are not of this earth that we're in possession of. It gets weird, but it is a real physics concept and something that there's a lot of people who believe they have some evidence with it as well, that we do have it. And
Yes, we do. It's just manipulation of electromagnetics.
Peace, y'all. Yes, I'm going to do it. I take knowledge and wisdom and sacred history very seriously, and the world's current and modern curriculums have obliterated real history in the sense of what actually happened. That's what history is. And they've reconstructed things. They've confused people. They've caused division. And so well-sourced education based on primary sources is required. Many people lived in caves, Ali, in Northern Africa, all over the world. This is true. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not just talking about people who lived in caves. I'm talking about people who were in the mountains, in the caves, and now they have you thinking that they weren't. And they painted themselves into places that they were not in. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to gently elaborate on things that I already put in documentaries. You can go to patreon.com/Dr. Ali, and I'll drop part 2 of the global white slave trade this week. It's been supposed to drop it. But the point is that you can go back, if you are a good researcher, prior to the 1400s, which means you need to get into the 1300s and before. And if you source your documents and texts properly, meaning they actually were written prior to the 1300s, you're going to start to see communications that change things. And so I want to elaborate on this. And just so you know where I get that image from, Gasparis Shati, 17th century book, screenshot it. And he was the one that was talking about hominids and, you know, these different terms, wild men, etc. The point is they existed. Screenshot it. All right, so he's talking about various types of hominids. This is important because they have you thinking hominids lived thousands of years ago, Denisovan, Neanderthals. No, that's not true. In this form, they were present in Europe in the 16th century, 17th century. It's still on the planet right now in certain places. But the point is we have to get to the origin of the story. And just so you don't think it's impractical, this was talked about. Petrus Gonzalez, him and his family, his daughters. And he was, oh, this is just a condition. No. This is something else. And so you can go straight to the Vatican Library. Take a look at that. And you can see what was going on in the Balkans, past the Caspian Sea, etc. But I'm going to show you that barriers were put up, specifically the Wall of Gorgon and the Great Wall of Cathay, which you call China, Great Wall of China, incorrectly, because these people were placed there. And so all of the history that you think is ancient Greece and ancient Rome, it never happened. And the reason why it was reconstructed is to hide the fact that they were up in these mountains. We know when they came out. We know when they went in. We know what happened while they were there. We know how they lost their form. We know what happened. And so this is not conspiracy theory. You don't go from eumelanin to pheopigments without an explanation. And modern evolutionary biology does not give that. I want to give it. So let me ask you a question. Who is this? This is from the Leo Bible. Who is that? Caesar, brother. Who is it? It's the Pope. Look at his name. Macarius I. Ruled 10th century. Why is that important? Who is this? 1945? Macarius III. He's the Pope. How come you don't learn about this Pope? So my education to you is for you to know that there was a different Pope. That little Pope over there in Italy was an overseer who started the rebellion, or he was a part of the team that started the rebellion in the 1300s, 1400s. Yeah. Okay. Great Wall of Gorgon. That's the Caspian Sea over there. Below this is Iran, and this is moving over towards Lower Eastern Europe into Asia. What is the Great Wall of Gorgon? This is also the wall that's mentioned in the Quran. Dul al-Qarnan, who was building a wall, and he wanted to keep Gog and Magog in. So this was the western half. The eastern half was what you call the Great Wall of China. Why were they building walls to keep people up into the mountains? They were keeping people inside of what's called the European steppe. So this is some details on the Great Wall of Gorgon, some sources. Here's a close-up, a physical view, some more geography so you can see how it is with Iran. All right. So now you're going to see why Iran has a problem with a particular group of people, and they have had it for a long time. And this is what Iranians look like at the time. Sasanians, etc. They look like this. And I have to show you this and this because it was explaining this source. Grand Cathay was the capital of Tartary. And Cathay is where you get the Greek Katholikos. Catholics have nothing to do with Christians in the church. No. Cathay does go back to Tartaria.
The Israelites.
And the Catholics were the people who followed that universal system. Now, Tartary was a colony of Egypt. I'm going to use this book to show you who was in the caves. This is a 1330s book. Going back to my other subject, the Sultans at the Tower of Babylon. That was in Cairo. So you see here of the great Khan of Cathay. And they're going to talk about Khan, the Genghis Khan, Haluga Khan, all the Khans. And they're going to talk about the laws and customs of Tartary, etc. But they're going to show us down here who are these people who were dwelling in the mountains. So you see here in chapter 23, he's talking about the Khans of Cathay. You see it? Okay, you got it. Here we go. Chapter 29. Of the countries and isles that beyond the land of Cathay, and of the fruits thereof, and of the 22 kings enclosed within the mountains. In that same region be the mountains of the Caspian, that men called Uber in the country. He's trying to say Eber. Between these mountains, the Jews of 10 lineages be enclosed, that men called Goth and Magoth, and that they may not go out on no side, meaning they couldn't escape. Now, okay, you're dealing with 1300s. He's saying that the 22 tribes are Jews. Now, you might say, well, that doesn't make sense to me. Right. All right, so this book is originally written in French. And what I want to propose is that you listen.
Because he's going to make it seem like that it's just modern day Jews when you get into the time period what this was. During the fall of Jerusalem in 70 AD, Esau started to take over. Herod, if you guys read about Herod, the man who ended up taking over Jerusalem during that time, and he had the temple rebuilt. Herod wasn't an Israelite truly. He was from the tribe of Esau. He wasn't from any of the 12 tribes of Israel. He was the bastard son of, I ain't gonna say he was a bastard son, but he was the twin brother of Jacob, who later became Israel. He was ruling the kingdom during that time and was the reason why the darker skin or the real Israelites got pushed out of power. And then they started calling themselves Jews during that time. So I want that understanding to come clear, because a lot of people do half-ass research and they don't understand that part. They don't line up history properly and just use the term Jew on the tribes of Edom, which it also means Esau. They use Jew for the tribes of Edom, but that's who they are. So when it's talking about during this time period, the Jews who got banished and was in this land, it was after the Moors came back into power, because the Moors came into power in 700 AD. This was going on during 900 AD. This was when the Moors were reclaiming their thrones as the true Israelites, and they banished Esau to these mountains. And this is where the Caucasians come from, because they are descendants of Esau. But when you do half research and don't line things up properly and go to the beginning of things, you are confused, and then you get to throwing around that these folks were the real Israelites. These were the real Jews, and they wasn't. They were what we call today Jewish. It wasn't the true Jews. So I just want that clarification to be out there for the remainder of this video, because I haven't heard him say anything about that. So just so he knows, and just so you all know, just in case he ever sees this video, and if he don't, for the people who do watch it, this is why I stress, do your own research. Don't just listen to me and my understanding of what I just told you. Do the reading yourself, but don't just pick certain times in history at random and think you're going to grasp the full understanding if you don't look at all of the history.
And then I give some explanation for what's being said here. Okay. They were enclosed 22 kings with their people that dwelt between the mountains of Scythia. Their king, Alexander, chased them between the two mountains, and there he thought for to enclose them through the work of his men. But when he saw that he might not do it, he bring it to an end. He prayed to God and he would perform miracles or whatever. So they're saying, okay, you got locked up there by Alexander. So again, so that they dwell there all fast, locked and enclosed with high mountains all about, save only on one side. And on that side is the Sea of the Caspian. Now may some men ask, since that the sea is on that one side, wherefore go they not out on the sea? Why don't they leave by the sea? For to go where that them liketh. This language is crazy. But to this question I shall answer that the Sea of Caspian goeth out by land under the mountains and runneth by the depth.
Welcome back, everybody. Today I want to talk about something that most people don't talk about, and the ones that do totally miss this subject. There is a growing trend on YouTube and all over the internet of these new ufologists, right? People like Jesse Michaels and people like Area 52 and all these other UFO podcasts. And don't get me wrong, I think they do great work. But all of them are kind of on the same page. They're all more in the mainstream ufology, so to
Keep
speak.
it surface level.
They're more surface level.
Yeah.
And they never really go deeper into the actual truth of UFOs, ufology, and alien contact in general. And the thing is, a lot of them think they're going deep, but they're all kind of stuck in their own little mainstream bubble. All right. So today I want to break through that bubble. I want to share some information with you that's not widely available. And if it is widely available, the implications of it and the deeper meanings and the deeper nuances of this information is the stuff that goes unnoticed. Because here, what we like to do is we like to turn over every rock. We don't want to just turn over the big rocks and say, hey, look, we see some worms, we see some grubs, whatever it may be. We want to turn over every rock, and we want to find these pieces of information that are otherwise hidden. Pieces of information that the public, mainstream UFO podcasters, people like Joe Rogan and the ones we mentioned earlier, and not only them, obviously, there's basically the whole gamut of UFO researchers are all kind of in the same boat. They're all talking about the same things. They all have the same opinions on it, and none of them really get to the heart of the matter. Yeah. So what am I talking about here? Well, today we're going to be diving deep into a UFO talk that was given in 1996. I think it was 1996 anyway. It was by Dr. Carla Turner, who at the time was one of the top UFO researchers slash alien abduction researchers that existed. And she unfortunately was taken out by the deep state. Now, before we get too far, let's back up a little bit. And I'm going to tell you more about Carla Turner. And I'm going to introduce this series of video clips that we're going to watch from this conference that she did. Because what she said, what she did, what she was talking about in this conference, well, it confirms a lot of stuff that we've been saying, and she likely doesn't even know how close she was to the truth. And I think this is a lot of ufologists get really close to the truth, but for some reason their mind is blinded. And I think I know what the reason is, and we'll talk about that. But their mind is blinded to the truth. So they go right up to the precipice, they go right up to the wall, to the, the face of the truth. And since they're blinded, since they can't see the truth, they don't really understand the truth for
Yeah.
what it is, and they end up turning away from it and going
to make
somewhere
some
completely
money.
different.
Yeah.
So, and this is no different. Unfortunately, what happened to her, she was never able to see the truth. But let's back up a little bit. So in 1996, Dr. Carla Turner, she stood before a room of basically, UFO researchers and ufologists, and she did something that nobody expected. Now, she didn't talk about the lights in the sky. She didn't talk about, here's some pictures of UFOs. She didn't show these spacecraft, these UFOs, like, here's the proof, here's the proof. Because the people at this conference, they all knew that UFOs were real. You don't need convincing anymore. Once you know, how many pictures of UFOs do you want to see before you're convinced? If you're convinced, you don't really care about that stuff anymore. You know they're real. You don't want to see pictures. What you want is you want the information.
Yeah,
You want to
know
get some sort
why.
of bigger picture
What's
that kind
going
of
on.
explains like why they're here, what they're
Yeah.
doing, and the whole purpose of everything. And I think we've uncovered that bigger picture. And I'm not saying only me. I'm sure there's a lot of people doing this and a lot of people that have pieced together these things, but I'm looking at it through my own perspective, kind of in a bubble, because I don't associate myself with any of the other ufologists. I don't, even usually consume their content. So everything that comes from me specifically. I don't let myself get influenced by ufology, by mainstream media, by popular podcasts, by any of these people. I kind of just ignore all of that. That way, when I come to you guys with what I see, it's more, authentic to who I am. And I'm very careful not to let myself get influenced by other people. With that being said, at this conference in 1996, she wasn't, showing people the evidence that most people expect at one of these, right? She did something different. She presented a list. Simple list, 10 facts. 10 facts that we could clearly say with certainty after decades of studying alien abduction cases, 10 facts that are 100% documented and can be extrapolated from all of the information that she's seen and that other UFO researchers have confirmed independently of this. So what she revealed that day in this list of 10 facts would go on to shake the UFO community to its core. Because every single fact, all of them, all 10 facts that she presented, well, let's just say the Bible. Yeah, I know, the Bible. It already told us these things thousands of years ago. Because what she was tapping into, what she got really close to understanding was this, that ufology, alien abduction, alien contact, UFOs in the sky, all of these things, it's a biblical phenomenon. It's evil at its core, and it can be verified. It can be documented. It can be verified that these things are evil. Okay. It's not ambiguous. And no, there's not good aliens and bad aliens. They're all evil, every single one of them. And that's 100% proven, by the way, when you apply these scriptural.
They're fallen angels. They're all fallen angels. And I hope you all are coming to that same conclusion and finding out with the TikTok that we watched in the beginning when we were talking about the space programs and the reason why they're going up there. Jack Parsons, the one who basically created NASA, who they all get all of their science from in order to send these rockets up there. He was literally one of Aleister Crowley's best friends. They did a bunch of sex rituals too. And when you look into those rituals that they did, they were trying to summon and did summon what we call aliens. And not only that, it's one book where they was trying to talk to an archangel. And the archangel that appeared when they was doing this wickedness was the Archangel Gabriel. You can't make this stuff up, y'all. I'm not just talking out my ass. He's not just talking out his ass. When you do proper research, it leads you down the same line. Because the truth will always be revealed if you search for it. But if you want to stay in the illusion or you're scared to lose your life, my thing is that we're not meant to live forever. That's not how these bodies are designed. We're meant to die one day because this isn't the real life. We have an eternal life that this place was meant to be a testing ground to see if we deserved it, to live in peace after this or live in turmoil. If we was going to choose to serve the Most High God or not. He didn't just want oblivious servants. He wanted people who truly were going to follow his word. And it's like so many people stumble and fail at that for materialistic things in this life. And I'm telling you all, it's not worth your soul. It's not. But you guys let me know down in the comment section. Did these videos and my commentary behind it help open your eyes to a lot of things? And if not, tell me what issues you did have, and maybe we can have some type of discourse where we can come to a conclusion together. I don't want this channel to be somewhere where people get mad and bicker and argue. I want us to have serious and genuine conversations about these matters at hand, because we haven't for so long. A lot of people stay in a state of delusion purposely because they don't want to use their own brains because of what it's too hard. But life is as hard as we make it, and by letting these wicked people be in control of us, we've been letting a lot of evil slide up under the door, getting our heads and corrupt us at the expense of everyone else. All because we don't want to think for ourselves. So we need to start having these serious conversations. But that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so that you're notified whenever I do drop a video here. We're on the road to 500 subscribers. So make sure you guys are summing up and joining the kingdom. And make sure you guys are praising the Most High God, and so that one day you can inherit the true kingdom of heaven. But with that being said, King Marcel out. Peace.
Who is alive? Looking for the prize. That's eternal life. And bringing the chains in my mind. Talking real peace of